Hey friends, thank you for joining me again for another harmonic analysis. Today we're taking a look at Porcupine Tree Dignity, which was off their Closure Continuation album, which happens to be their newest album. And this is essentially in honor of Steven Wilson and his new project. So let's get into it. By the way, if you guys like Steven Wilson and Porcupine Tree and you like content like this, I have an entire playlist I will link below in the description. So if you like this video, you might like those as well. Please feel free to check them out, and thanks for watching as always. So Dignity is in the key of C major, which I find to be pretty rare to find songs that are actually in C major. But this one's in C major. The chord progression at the beginning is C to E flat with a G in the bass, and then it goes to F, and then it goes to C. And then it continues on with that. So the C chord is the one chord. The E flat over G is being pulled from the minor version of C, known as C minor. We'll call it the parallel minor because they both start with C. And that's essentially why it works so well. It's being pulled from the parallel minor, and it contains an E flat instead of an E. So there's also that chromatic half-step relationship. So the ear is like, oh, it's similar, right? So, and after that we go to the F chord, which is the 4 in C major, and then we're back to C, which is the 1 chord. So far we have a 1 in C, followed by a 3 in the parallel minor, a 4 in C, and then a 1 in C. After that, we're back to the E flat with a G in the bass as the 3 chord in C minor. And then we have the F again, which is the 4 in C major, followed by an E minor, which is the 3 chord in C major, and then back to the C. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any audio for this that wouldn't get me a copyright claim, so I decided to just make this easy on myself. Hopefully you can hear the song in the chords if you know the song well enough. If not, please go listen to it at the appropriate place. So that E minor again is the 3 chord, the C is the 1. It's pretty much more of the same. So if we were to sum up this first verse, we would essentially say that we're in the key of C, and we're doing the 1 chord, 3 chord, and 4 chord from the key of C, but we're also throwing in the 3 chord from the parallel minor C minor, and that of course would be the E flat / G chord. From there we're going to go to the next, this is actually the chorus. We have a C major to a G minor to a D minor to a B flat, and then we go to E minor, and then we go to E major with a G sharp in the bass, and then we go to an A minor, and then we go to an F minor. So this particular chorus is all over the place, and obviously in the context of, you know, random piano chords, it doesn't sound like much. But the C major is the 1 chord in C major. The G minor is the 5 chord in C minor, so that's being pulled from the parallel. The D minor is the 2 chord in C major. The B flat is the 7 chord in C minor, so again another parallel borrow. E minor is the 3 in C major. The E major with a G sharp in the bass is an interesting one because there's no E major in C minor or C major. So this is kind of acting as like a secondary dominant chord. It doesn't have the 7th chord tone within it. It doesn't contain the D, which would make it a full E7, but it does contain a major 3rd, and it is followed up by an A minor chord, which the A minor chord is kind of like that resolution for the E chord, right? So here's the E major, and then here's the A minor. So we have that nice 5-to-1. And the A minor is doubling as the 6th chord in C major, and then we're ending on an F minor for kind of like a plagal cadence, a minor 4 being pulled from the parallel C minor. So what are we gathering from the chorus? Kind of more of the same. We're in C, but we're pulling chords from C major and C minor almost alternately. And then we're also dealing with a major E chord, which it doesn't belong to neither C major nor C minor, but it is resolving to a chord that is in C major, which is our home key. So like I said, I'm looking at that almost as if it's like a secondary dominant chord, where you'd play a dominant chord that's not in the key you're in, it resolves to a chord that is in the key that you're in. In this case, the E is resolving to A, which is the 6th chord, so you can consider it like a 5 of 6. It's a very jazz thing to do. And even though it doesn't have the 7, I'm still hearing that as the movement, and then of course ending on the minor 4, which gives you like a plagal cadence. So, all right, the bridge section of this song is really cool. We're in C still, C major, to a C augmented, which just means we're taking that 5th degree and raising it from a G to a G sharp. And similar to diminished chords, augmented chords on their own and diminished chords on their own don't really sound that great. You know, here's an augmented chord, here's a diminished chord. They don't really sound that good on their own. They're very awkward, but they work wonders as bridge chords. In other words, you have a chord here and a chord here, and you want to create a stepping stone between those two chords. Throw in an augmented, throw in a diminished. So if you're looking at the notes of C major and the notes of C augmented, our G in the C major is going up to a G sharp in the augmented, and then the chord that follows is an A minor chord. And why that's so damn cool is because to go from, C major to A minor sounds good. It's a 1 to 6 in a major key, but to throw in that augmented chord gives you movement and flavor, and that G sharp in the augmented chord is a half step away from the A of the A minor chord. So in a sense, our melody line, the highest notes available would be like a G to a G sharp to an A. So we have a nice 3-note chromatic movement. And then to make things even more interesting, after we've played that A minor chord, he then goes to an A flat major chord, which comes out of nowhere, but it works. Why does it work? How does an A minor chord and an A flat major chord work so damn well together? Well, first and foremost, we have common tones, right? The C is common to both of them, so that's one thing. And then the other 2 notes that are used are only a half step away from the other 2 notes that are used. And to make things even, more perfect regarding this chord, A flat major is the 6th chord in C minor. So we have all these overlapping, coincidences, for lack of a better word. The thing about music theory is, and I've probably said this before, but the thing about music theory that makes it so awesome is that the things that sound good to the human mind also look really good on paper, right? So whether you find things that work or learn music theory first and then write things that work based on the theory knowledge, it's going to be the same thing at the end of the day. Nobody's creating anything that's not already been explained by theory. So, I think there's one more section. The further I go with this one, the more interesting things I discover. Yeah, there's one more section, and we're going to be pulling from C major with the 1 chord C, and then we're going to be doing the major 6, which would be an A flat major. That's coming from C minor, and then we're also doing a B flat major, which is also coming from C minor. So we have the 3 chords in this section. We have the C, which is the 1 in C major. Again, the A flat is the 6 in C minor, parallel, and then the B flat is the 7 in parallel C minor as well. The progression itself goes B flat to C, and then A flat to C. and it does that several times. Such a good song. Porcupine Tree, Dignity, Steven Wilson, one of the best, one of my favorite artists of all time. I love everything he does. Even the stuff that sucks is still amazing. So if you guys have made it this far, 10 minutes in, I'd like to thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope you learned something. I hope it was entertaining and informative. If you are still here, leave me a comment below saying you're still here, because that makes you one of the special ones, and I appreciate it. Also, hit that like button. If you haven't left, just hit that like button. It helps me. And I feel like I'm doing a service not only to the artists that we all love, but also to people who want to learn more about theory, or maybe just, sit down and check out something they've never seen before. Either way, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.